and here, welcome back to my channel. So if you're new, real quickly, I identify as a pagan. I am a witch. I talk about my experiences from my own perspective. I just share what my experience is like, and I also talk about it from the perspective of someone who is blind or visually impaired. So that being said, I want to share some thoughts on National Coming Out Day and World Mental Health Day. I'm recording this video later than I originally planned. But I have a lot of resources in the blog post and in the description below, including resources for people who are pagan and who are considering coming out of the broom closet, as I've often heard this referred to as, in addition to resources regarding LGBTQ support and resources for people who are in need of mental health support as well. First and foremost, I feel that National Coming Out Day is something to be celebrated. I think that it highlights the importance of where we are in terms of support for the LGBTQ community, also where we're going and where we need to be. I feel like we're in a really interesting place right now because in some areas it's safe to come out, in other areas it's not, and even in the most accepting places it's not safe for people to come out as LGBTQ, whatever part of that you identify as. And for myself, I'm not completely out. I am out to the people who need to know, but I'm not going to hide it or deny it either. I just don't feel that I need to just announce it to the world, but I also don't feel that I need to hide it either. If someone asks me if I am a member of the LGBTQ community, I will say yes. If they ask me more questions, I will say, yes, I am bisexual, so on and so forth, but I won't get too deep. I take it the same way that I take it as being pagan. I will not deny that, but I also recognize that I am in a very privileged position. Not everyone can come out, and please remember that. Also, I feel like it's important to highlight that it needs to be said, if someone has the vulnerability to say, like I mentioned in the blog post, if someone's vulnerable enough to say, I'm, telling you this about me, whether that's being pagan, Wiccan, a witch, because I feel like, to a degree, there's a lot to be said for both communities when they intersect, because I was out at an event as Wiccan, and at the time I was learning a lot about it, and I wasn't 100% if I wanted to say that. I was happy saying it, but I also didn't know I was about in a public group at the time. That being said, I was okay that I wasn't okay that I was outed, but I was okay that I was getting the support I needed. I was happy that I got support from the people around me, because at first that wasn't the case regarding Wicca and paganism. A lot of people don't know a lot about that. They think that it's like Satanism, or they have other beliefs. So similar to like being LGBTQ, I find that it's important to highlight that if someone is telling you this, don't tell anyone else. I feel like it needs to be said because people still do. This could be a risk to someone's safety, or just be a big issue for someone. You don't know someone's circumstances. And if you are yourself considering talking to someone or coming out to someone, please make sure you're in a safe place. Make sure that you have a backup plan in case something doesn't go right. Tell a trusted friend, a family member, whoever you have around you. Please read and research ways to do so. Everybody comes out in their own time. That's another thing I want to highlight. People come out in their own time, in their own way, and in their own capacity. And like I said, even in the most accepting areas where people would think that it's okay to come out, doesn't mean that it is. Because people's beliefs and religious affiliations and other such things take into account, and people don't realize how those things impact other people. You don't know what you don't know, and there's a lot of issues. I could go into how, homophobia and issues regarding like gender non-conforming people or non-binary people or intersex people, how there's so much ignorance around it because people just don't know, and there's a lot of stigmatization, or at least in my opinion, that needs to be completely eradicated. I think that there needs to be a lot more education. Anyhow, I digress. I think that National Coming Out Day also serves a positive light. It's a way for us, for the people who are out, or who choose to come out on that day publicly, or however they choose to come out to friends or family. I think that it highlights the positivity of, feeling safe to come out, where we are in society. For some people, like I said, it is, a good thing that we can come out because it involves representation, and it shows people like that there are people out there, that you're not by yourself. For the people who can't come out, and that's okay too. It is okay to not come out as LGBTQ. It's okay to still be in the broom closet as a witch or a pagan. There's nothing wrong with that. If this is where you need to be, then people need to respect that, period. But for the people who can come out, it's a huge step for a lot of people. And I find that National Coming Out Day just kind of reminds people of that, and it reminds people to see where we are. Like, we are in a place where, for many people, like I said, it is safe for them, but in many areas, we have a long way to go. That's the sort of opposite end of that. We have a long way to go in terms of acceptance and support for both the pagan and the LGBTQ communities. I think that we need to have more people, but also I think we need to be respectful to people who choose not to disclose any of those identities. Further, I think that it's important to note that you have to take your own consideration in mind, and people need to be mindful of like where people are in their journeys, because not everybody, like, you could be new, like maybe not everybody's ready to just say, I'm a witch, or I'm pagan, or I think I might be questioning or queer. Not everybody's ready to just immediately say, you know what, I am this. It takes time. It's a process, and people need to remember that. Finally, I just want to say, I feel like National Coming Out Day just also serves as a reminder of what these stories show us, right? Like, we have a lot of representation, especially for like intersectionality, and I didn't get to mention this in the blog post, but it's true. Like, intersectionality is discussed and highlighted. A lot of people of color are coming out, and a lot of people in general, famous people, and that does help for representation, but it also helps people to remember that we're not alone. And I like reading the stories of the people who choose to come out, not just as LGBTQ, but as pagan too. That was the thing that inspired me to eventually come out on both sides, because I found those stories to be really inspirational and really supportive, in that reading other people's stories made me feel like I wasn't not part of the community. It made me feel like I was part of this big old community of people that I could be like, hey, I'm just like you. I identify with you, and, one day I'll eventually, come out, is what my thought was at the time. And eventually I did. And it took me several years to, come out as a witch, and several years to come out as bisexual. So there's that. Meeting people where you're at is an important thing to remember. And also, I want to mention mental health stuff. World Mental Health Day is today, and I feel like we need to keep in mind of our mental health every day, not just today, but we need to remember this is a global issue. Mental health is highly stigmatized. Mental health is so stereotyped in many ways, and there are a lot of people struggling. And if you're one of those people, reach out. There are so many resources out there. Talk to a friend, talk to a family member. There's so many options for therapy, telehealth, notwithstanding. There's text options, and so on and so forth. In the resources below, I shared some resources that I posted for National Mental Health Awareness Month back in May. So if you have and you need support, or someone who needs support, please share these resources with them. And I want to highlight a couple of the resources I mentioned. So some of the LGBTQ resources are the Trevor Project, GLAAD's Resource Center, the LGBTQ National Help Center, which provides chat and online support. Additionally, the Trevor Project has a texting option, a chat option, and a phone option as well. There's a lot of stuff for youth out there as well, so please check out the video description for all the resources below, and please read the blog post. I could go on about both of these things, but mental health, regardless of whether you're in both these communities, is so important. And take time for self-care. Take time for you. Take time to your loved ones. Check in with people. Call people. Text people. Be like, how are you? What are you doing? How are you? You know, what's going on in your life? Like, don't forget the people around you. Ask them if they need support. What do they need? What do they not need? Because sometimes it's more about what you don't need than what you do need. So for example, I find that like giving advice, like not everybody needs advice, and it's not easy to remember, right? Because we want to help, but the only way we know how to help is sometimes giving advice, or sometimes you just go into that mode of, well, why don't we just tell them something? But sometimes people just want a listening ear, and that's an important thing to remember too. You know, asking, what do you need? Do you need to hear? Do you need someone to hear you out? Or, you know, please be the person to say, you know what, I just need to be heard. I don't want advice. I just want to be heard. That's all it is. So if you've liked this video, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And please share this video with your friends and share the resources below if you need any support whatsoever. And I hope you all have an amazing week. Talk to you all soon. Many blessings.